last year, one of the most emotional stories with just a lot of highs and lows was of a little girl named Sarah, and I'll mention her last name, but she's not from too far from here. And in December, before Night to Shine, she had been fighting cancer for 7 years, and the doctors told her to go home and rest, and pretty soon you'll be going to your ultimate home. And they gave her a couple days to live, and so she went home, and then she made it through Christmas, she made it through New Year's and into January, and she continued fighting, and the doctors were kind of shocked by this, and they would come to her house, and this whole time we're going back and forth with Sarah, writing, talking to her mom, talking to her, everything, and she, the doctors would come and say, well, what are you fighting so hard for? And she said, because Night to Shine, that's my time to look like a princess. That's going to be my opportunity, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to be wearing my pink dress, and I'm going to look like a princess. And so she's fighting so hard for it, and she gets into late January, and she starts to take a turn for the worse, and she makes it to February 8th, and she's turning 16 years old on this day, February 8th, 4 days before Night to Shine, because last year was on February 12th, and the doctors come in, they say, Sarah, you only have 6 hours to live. And so pastors and families in saying their final prayers, and Sarah's attitude was, I don't know why you're saying your final prayers, because I'm going to make it through Friday for Night to Shine. And she kept holding on to it, the hope that she was going to get to celebrate Night to Shine. And then Tuesday comes around, she's in and out of it. Wednesday, she's in and out of it. Thursday morning, she wakes up and her eyes are big, and her mom comes rushing to her side. She says, Sarah, you okay? She said, yeah, will you start to get me ready for Night to Shine? And so her mom starts getting her ready, bathing her, doing everything to get her ready. And Friday gets there, and Sarah hasn't walked in weeks. And the whole town, everybody knows that everybody had been praying for Sarah, and we've been going back with her, then back and forth with them the entire time. And Friday gets there, and they roll her down the stairs, and they put her into a limo, and she has her date, and she drives to Night to Shine, and everybody's amazed when she rolls down the red carpet. But what was amazing is she hadn't walked in so long, and she stops the wheelchair, and she goes to the chocolate fondue station, and that's the first thing she does. And she goes to karaoke, then she goes to the dance floor, and she stops the wheelchair, and she gets out, and she starts to dance. And everybody at the whole prom is thinking, I mean, she's had cancer for 7 years, we haven't seen her walk in however many days, like this is incredible. And Sarah dances and dances and just has the best night. She's one of the last people there, and she gets in the limo on the way home, and she's talking to her grandma, and she said, Grandma, I know I was living on borrowed time, but it was so worth it. And then she goes to sleep, and the next night, her friend comes to her bedside in the morning, and she says, Sarah, what do you want to do today? Because last night was so awesome. What can we do to celebrate that? And she said, well, I had a dream, and tomorrow I'm going to go home to be with Jesus. But I'm so thankful that I got to experience that and live on this borrowed time. And the next morning, Valentine's morning, she went home to be with Jesus. But I share that story because you don't know what it's doing for certain people. You don't know the hope that they're holding on to, so that they can feel that worth, they can feel special, they can feel like a princess. And I think it hits everybody differently, but for me, the hope that she was holding on to was pretty impactful, and that means everything to me.
Dave, I'd add a couple things. So encourage everybody to volunteer, because we all hear about when you volunteer how you're changing your life, but you get changed. And so that stands out to me in terms of what we take for granted, to go be a part of it and watch the joy and the celebration that it is for these families. I mean, it changes you, and that's impressive in terms of what we're doing. Our General Managers Conference. So Eric was kind enough to come out, and we had 200 plus of our managers there, and brought Katie, and she made a presentation and a thank you. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. So these are general managers in the plumbing and HVAC space that are, brought to emotion from changing a life and getting a thank you. And so, again, all of our employees have embraced this, and I think that's one thing we're probably most proud of, is that we're also giving back to our community through our employees.
Eric?